A couple of injuries though, Matt, but
yes.
apart from that, lots of positives.
Yeah, no, it was obviously a strong performance. The injuries do sour it quite a bit, but hopefully, we'll wait and see. Nikki's went off to hospital, hasn't got the scan back yet. We're waiting to see. And Hannah's shoulder went out, but it came back in pretty cleanly, so hopefully that's not too bad.
What did you take out of that most positive?
Well, actually, I thought in the first half, we offensively were pretty good, but I thought around the contest we actually were a little bit sloppy. So we sort of talked about that at half time, and I thought, particularly the second half, I thought that got right back to the level that we needed it to be. Yeah, I thought Gold Coast showed up and really competed really strongly. Their contested stuff was good. Our backs had to hold up because they were getting those transitions, but luckily our backs played a really strong game and were able to nullify it once it went inside 50.
Once you go forward though, you've got so many weapons.
Yeah, look, obviously, Danielle got on the end of it this week, and we've actually spoken to her a number of times about, not every day is going to be that day, but her effort and her work rate across the season's been really strong. So it's nice when all of a sudden you're the one that ends up on the end of it a few times. So, but yeah, I thought it was pretty balanced. If you look, I've only had a quick look at the numbers, but we were fairly even in terms of players that were getting hold of the ball, and also our, defensively we all worked pretty hard.
After Fremantle, what did you say to the girls? Because it seems to have got a good response.
No, I think ultimately, we had a day there where we let ourselves down in a few little areas, but we worked, really hard through the whole pre-season. Sometimes you have that day, and it was a good opportunity for us to, learn and reflect on the things that we needed to get right. And we made a few little tweaks, but not too much, to be honest, mate. It was, pretty much back to work, take the learnings and move on. Clearly the last few have been pretty strong.
Well, the clearance numbers were in there. The scoreboard was always in your terms. The clearance work they were doing early on was pretty good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you have to throw a few things. I put Aaron in there for a little bit.
Yeah, so Aaron came up and had a bit of a go, but it was more, that was one of the things we addressed at halftime. We just felt they were getting first look at the ball, and they were pretty quick. They got some speed there, so ultimately it's a pretty important part of the game, in particularly centre bounce. So pleasingly, our mids were able to respond and sort of level that back up a bit. And from there, as I said, the second half we were pretty pleased with.
How comforting is it for you to have someone like the skipper who's an All-Australian defender and can go forward and do things like that?
It's pretty handy.
Yeah.
So obviously when we had the injuries, we shuffled a little bit and we actually played her across half-back in that third quarter. As I said, just felt we just weren't quite where we needed to be in the first half. Having that ability to put Chelsea around to a half-back to stabilise things is, an amazing asset. But then we pushed her back forward again, because what she's been doing for us forward is sometimes not showing out in the stat sheet, but her initial contest is at an elite level, and then off that our other players can feed. So we're really pleased with how she's going and her willingness to play whatever role we ask of her for the team.
You were 1 point off the all-time record. Were you conscious of that? Were you aware of it?
No, I wasn't aware of that. But yeah, ultimately, we probably should have kicked one more. I'm not going to complain because we actually kicked more goals than points this week, so happy.
Top two is important. Do you start to think about that?
Well, not really, to be fair. I mean, the way that the draw's shaken out, and ultimately I think it's going to be great for the competition, is that the back end, these back 3 games of the season, the teams that are up in the top 6 are pretty much all going to play each other. So the reality is that whomever wins those games is going to get the better run into the finals. But equally, I think we'll find that it's going to be an outstanding final series. So ladder position might help a little bit, but ultimately the number one goal is to try and end up in those top 6 and give yourself a chance. So that's the priority. And as I say, I think the next month of footy, or 5 or 6 weeks of footy, from a fan's perspective, is going to be really exciting for AFLW. I think it'll be some of the best footy we've seen.
And you had a 2 times premiership player come back today on the wing there and looked pretty good.
Yeah, so a long way back for Denny, and I was obviously a little bit apprehensive going in after a long layoff, but I thought she ran hard, which we know she always does. She's had a pretty limited prep, but she's a real professional, and she did pretty well.
Great.
Happy?
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.